Hi, Wanderers.
I'm Amanda.
And I'm Ron.
And this is Military Chatter.
Today we are going to talk about Space Age Travel.
Yep,
which is your first acronym to put up there.
Well, sure, but that one's easy because it just means space available. But this is the second episode in our travel series on Military Chatter, and the next episode will be story time.
Absolutely. So we're pulling this information from a few different sources on the internet. So we have done
We'll link them.
Yes, we've done a lot of space age travel because we've been stationed overseas twice, which afforded us the opportunity to do a lot of space age travel. So we'll talk about that, kind of that process, but we will refer to this. But our main source on this is Air Mobility Command, AMC, is who you would work through, who manages the flights that you can fly space available on. So that's basically your cargo planes. So they have a travel page that is for the public, and it's got 3 different links on there. It's got instructions and answers questions about official travel. They've got one for space available travel and one for pet travel. So we're looking mainly at the one for space available. So what is space age travel?
It means that what the available space is on an aircraft that's already going to a certain destination.
So with Space A, you can travel anywhere that an Air Force plane with available seating goes.
No. Well, I mean, for the most part, yes, but not
theoretically.
Not everywhere.
Right.
They're not going to take you everywhere.
Almost everywhere.
And there are certain planes that they won't allow passengers on. But if there is an availability, then you can take that space. Question number 2.
Yeah.
What are the restrictions for space age travel?
Well, the first restriction is that it's got to be advantageous to the government. So like I can't use this if I have a business and I'm going to travel there because it's going to save me money. It doesn't work like that. But the main thing is that there's 6 categories for space age travel. So if you're traveling on official orders, that's space R, space required. So when someone PCS is overseas, they may be on what's called a rotator, which is a flight that goes regularly, say between
it rotates.
Right, between Baltimore and Germany, taking people back and forth. If they're PCSing, maybe they have TDY orders, those sorts of things.
And usually, if it's a rotator like that, it's not a cargo plane. It's a contract. It's a contracted actual plane, like a normal plane that you would think about flying on. It's that kind of plane.
And those are fine, but they're not near as good.
They're not nearly as fun as a cargo plane. Right.
There's a lot of freedom when you fly Space A on a cargo. So there are 6 categories. I'm going to refer to this to get it right. So category 1 is emergency leave.
Oh, wait, just a second. The 6 categories literally are the priorities.
Yes.
So when you're trying to get an available one, you would like your priority to be the highest.
Okay, so I guess that's the question. So when you're finding space available, what is... They start with category 1, they work their way down.
Right.
And when the seats are gone...
When the seats are gone, it's done. So if they only get categories 1 and 2... nobody else gets on the flight.
Sorry, it's all about the available seats.
Right.
So category 1 is emergency leave. So this is if something happens, you're stationed overseas, and you have a close family member die, and they need to get you back, or an accident or something where you're in an emergency status. You've got to get back to your family, to stateside, or whatever that emergency is.
More often than not, though, they actually get you on a commercial flight because those flights are more regular and they leave more often, usually, than an already scheduled military flight is. Okay, go.
What is category 2?
It is EML.
Which stands for?
Environmental Morale Leave.
So this is a category that we're most familiar with. So when you are stationed overseas, we'll say especially in a accompanied assignment, you get a certain amount of what they call environmental morale leave. And this is the ability to travel because, for example, when we were in Turkey, you're in Turkey. And so we were allowed 2 EML flights.
In a remote location.
So yes, when you're remote, we were allowed 2 EML flights per year. One that could take us back to the States, and one that could take us anywhere in Europe.
Right.
Now, again, it's not that they're buying you plane tickets. But what this means is that when we signed up and we were using our EML leave, and there was a form and a process for it, that meant that we were category 2.
Right, which, and like we said before, category 1, I've never been on a flight where anybody was category 1.
Yeah.
Like, because most often it's easier to just take a regular flight and they have money in an
Right.
account set aside to send people back for emergency leave.
Yeah, because if the Red Cross makes a notification,
Right.
there's a whole other process for
Right.
that.
So being category 2 almost always means you get, if there's any seats on the plane,
Now,
you're going to get them.
Now, and this will be important. This is category 2 with your sponsor.
Right.
So EML with your sponsor is
Right.
Cat 2. And like I said, almost always you get out if you're a Cat 2.
Yeah, as long as there's seats on the plane. So, what is category 3?
Category 3 is ordinary leave. Ordinary leave with your sponsor. So you're somewhere and you just want to take leave and fly. And so this could be you're stationed on the East Coast and you want to catch a SpaceSafe flight and go to Germany for a week or something like that. If you're on ordinary leave, you can go.
Right.
I will talk about what steps have
Sign up
to
and all
be
that
to sign
stuff.
up in a little bit.
Right.
But category 3 is just ordinary leave.
Right. And category 3, I mean, 2 and 3, you almost always get on
So it's
the flight.
category 4.
It is unaccompanied dependents on EML.
So this is just below ordinary leave. So this is you're overseas. The sponsor can't go, but
Right.
the family wants to go back to the States and want to use the EML. They can go. It's not as high as if the sponsor's with you.
Right.
But
But
it
it's
is
still a
step
higher
up.
category than non-EML. So,
All right. And
category 5.
category 5 is primarily permissive TDY. So this is the category for someone who, so permissive TDY, PTDY, is what we call non-chargeable leave. So it's leave to go do a special thing.
Okay, but what is TDY?
TDY is temporary duty. So this is permissive temporary duty. Basically, it's the Air Force saying, hey, this thing that you want to go do is advantageous to the Air Force. So it's for chaplains, it's one of the things we can do is to go to meetings with our ecclesiastical leaders. We can go permissive TDY.
Right.
It means that the Air Force isn't going to pay for us to go. It's out of our own pocket, but they're also not going to make us burn our earned leave so that we can go. And so you can do things like go defend dissertations. If you're going maybe adopting, to be able to go to that, you can take permissive TDY for house hunting. So if you're heading to a new location, they're not going to make you burn leave to go try to find a house at your new location. So that's Cat 5. And then the last one is Cat 6. So what's category 6, the last one?
Category 6, retirees.
So if you are a retired member, you can fly. Problem is Cat 6 is
Way
low
down the
down.
list.
And so, but it's still, if you have the
The very
flexibility.
first time we ever took Space Aid travel, there were at least 4 retired couples that got on that plane with us. So,
So what do you have to do to sign up for Space Aid?
ooh, a lot of stuff. Actually, it's not as difficult as you might think. The issue is, are you going to go with your sponsor or are you going to go alone? Because if you're going alone, you have a 90-day window that you can sign up and fly. If you're going with the sponsor, they can't sign up until their leave starts.
Yes. So if you go to that AMC page that we're going to link to here, it's got the link to the Space Aid email sign up form. So they're centralizing this. It used to be.
Nice. It used to be you had to call the AMC at whatever terminal
Right.
you wanted to go to and sign up that way.
So
That's
some of the
much
things
easier.
that you got to put in there is an email address, the info of the sponsor, their status, dependents' names, how many seats you're required, leave dates. This is important if
Right.
your sponsor is going with you. So, let's say there's a flight you want to take that goes out on Tuesday. Your leave has to start on Tuesday. And then if you miss that flight, you're still just on leave. If there's a flight that leaves on Thursday, then you want to stay in that leave status because that means you've been on the list longer because it all comes
That's what I
down
was
to
going
when
to
you
say.
signed up.
It's also like if there are 7 people that are all category 3, let's say.
That's ordinary leave.
Right, there's 7 people in that group of category 3. Then the way they determine which order those 7 people go in is number 1 by who turned the paperwork in first. Paperwork gets turned in first, that person goes to the top of that category, then each person goes down the list. Now, when I said you had 90 days if you were going without your sponsor, if you know you're leaving in 90 days, then sign up, give yourself a little bit of room in case it doesn't work, but go ahead and sign up as far in advance as you possibly can, because you want your name at the top of your category as high up as you can get it.
Now, we haven't flown Space 8 in a while, so we may need to do a little research to make sure it's still that 90-day window, but that's what it was. And so
Yeah, the last time we did it.
when we were
And then there's also a few like little things, like if your sponsor is deployed, you get to bump up the list. You're not as far down in the categories as you were. They don't break that down here, so that's something you need to ask.
And any
at
dependents
NBC.
over the age of 18 can fly unaccompanied.
Right.
Now here's the big thing. For anybody but the sponsor, this is only good for overseas. So
Well, and that depends on your category. If your category is up high
Well,
enough,
true.
you can fly stateside, state to state.
But let's say you're below category 3.
Right.
You can't fly CONUS, continental U.S. So you couldn't hop on a Space A flight at Dover and go to Travis,
Right.
Delaware to California.
Now, there are circumstances if you're going, let's say, from Dover to Hawaii and you're stopping in California, that's fine, as long as you are manifested all the way OCONUS, which is outside the continental U.S., then you are good to go to stop there. But you can't be done in Travis or in California.
So the next question would be, how do you find out when and where these flights are?
Yeah, well, it used to be that each one of them had their own like Facebook
They still do.
page. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
I used to just have to figure it out. That's what you have to do, is you have to go search and see what kind of planes fly out, because nobody's putting us on a bomber here at Ellsworth and sending us anywhere. So you have to make sure that they have cargo flights that even go through the area that you're going to. You have to make sure that
So the easiest way
there's one going.
is on
So-
the AMC page. Is there are links to stateside social media pages, overseas, and so yes, the Facebook pages we're putting out. Now here's the thing you have to know is for operational security, OPSEC, they can only post a flight 3 days before, so 72 hours.
Right, true.
So the key to Space A travel is 1, flexibility, and 2, being
Patience.
okay with not making the flight that you wanted to make.
True.
So for dependents flying without a sponsor, I mean, we had a family stay with us when we were on the East Coast for like 2 weeks to get a flight back overseas because they were
Right.
without the sponsor. The problem is
You're really far down on them things.
yeah, but you could run into a thing where even with your sponsor, you can't get out. And so when you take off, you got to make sure you've got enough leave, or you got enough money that, hey, we're not getting the flight that we
Right.
wanted. The members got to get back and get back to work. They can't stay on leave any longer. And so you pay that ticket, and then the family just stays till they can get the flight out.
Or you gotta have enough money to get everybody
Absolutely.
a ticket together.
Absolutely.
So
it's
it's definitely a perk,
Mhm.
but it's also not a guaranteed thing. We have had it where it's worked wonderfully, and we have had it where it has not worked at all, and we have been stranded. So
what else about Space A should we share? Other than the stories that we'll share later.
yeah, I don't know. We have some pretty funny ones, and then some close calls on some, and
Yes. Let's see. What does it cost to fly Space A? That's a good question.
Right. Okay, so if you're flying on a rotator that we talked about before, that actually does cost about $20 or something.
Well, it has.
Okay, the
Historically.
last time we did it, which was a while ago, it cost about $20 per person for us to fly on that rotator plane. And that was not on orders. If you're flying on orders, then it's completely free. But if you're just flying Space A on a rotator, it's $20. However, if you're flying on a cargo plane, it could be free, it could be $0, or you can buy
It just depends on what you want to eat.
Right,
So,
a lunch box.
if you're flying on a cargo, C-17, C-5, something like that, you can buy a box lunch, which is the same thing they give to the air crew.
And it costs about $6.
Yeah, so usually it's a ham and cheese sandwich, a bag of chips, a bottle of water,
An
cookies,
apple.
M&Ms,
Yeah.
stuff like that. So, but you can just load up with all
But
the
they
beef jerky you can carry.
also, there are no baggage like carry-on baggage rules. So you can just fill up like Walmart sacks and bring them on with all kinds of food and just eat whatever you want. Like,
Yeah.
there are rules about the big bags that you can bring, but as far as like carry-on things, as long as you can keep them in your area, they don't care. There are no overhead bins, by the way, so.
So just stuff your backpack full of beef jerky and you're good to go.
Right, unless you're trying to sneak that into Germany, and then they won't let you.
Fair enough. Let's see. So probably the last perk to talk about is you can fly the rotator, which is like a regular plane. You get in, you put your seatbelt on. They have flight attendants, all that sort of stuff. Where it's at, for our opinion, is the cargo planes. Especially
C-17s
C-17s.
specifically.
It's a Cadillac of Space A because you get jump seats on the side, but once you're at cruising altitude,
There are no rules.
Just lay out a sleeping bag and go
Right.
to sleep.
They also have outlets on the C-17s and the C-5s, which they didn't have on normal planes
Right.
when we were flying. They do now, I think, on,
Well,
on
some.
some of them.
So, but yeah, they got an outlet, so you plug in your laptop, put on your noise canceling headphones.
Yeah, you definitely
Good to
need
go.
noise canceling headphones.
That is true.
It's very
That
loud.
is true. But it's
And usually very cold.
yes. So layer. But to wrap up, Space A is a great perk for serving. It's not guaranteed travel. You got to be flexible and you got to be patient, but
But,
you can get almost anywhere you want to.
and life is an adventure anyway.
That's
so
right.
you might as well enjoy it.
All right. So next time we sit down, we'll tell some of our stories.
Right?
And you guys will get a lot of good giggles out of that.
Yeah.
So
See you next week.
see you later, Wanderers.
Bye.